Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode. So, this week I have a very special treat for you that I think you're really going to love. So, I have a very special guest, Grace, coming onto the podcast this week. So, you might remember Grace actually from a previous episode. She did come on once before. Grace was a client of mine about a year and a half ago. And she overcame 60 years of food struggle. That's 60 years. And now she's on the other side of that. And the amazing thing that happens when you're on the other side of that is not only do you have all of the insight and awareness from all of your time spent healing, but you also look back at your struggles in a different way too. And Grace so generously was willing to come onto the podcast and share her insights, what she learned from the 60 years of struggle and from her now year and a half of healing. And I'm so grateful that she was willing to share because she has gained so much wisdom in this time. It's like speaking with a different person. And not everybody is willing to put themselves out there like she is willing to do. And I commend her so much for doing that. And I'll tell you, the reason she's inspired to do that is because of you. She said, I want to be able to show people who are still struggling that there is a way out of this and it is possible for them. For her, it was over 60 years. So know that it's possible for you too. So thank you so much, Grace, again, for being on the podcast this week. And everybody get excited to listen. Here's Grace. Let's just start with your history. Tell us, what were you struggling with? When did it start?
When did it start? My first memory of when it started was when I was 5. And I remember going to school and Mum and Dad worked, and I'd come home from school and my brother was at high school. And I was told to lock myself in the house and not speak to strangers and just put on the television and have afternoon tea. So I was afraid, and I would just sit down and I would have these Cocoa Pops and watch Fred Flintstone. And it just started the whole TV eating until Mum came home from work, and then I could exhale and say, okay, I'm safe now. So it was just a very frightening little thing for me at that time. But since then, I just set up the pattern to eat through all of my emotional stuff. So it just became more prevalent as a teenager and an adult. It turned into yo-yo dieting. It turned into binge eating. When I was a new mum and struggling with my body image and whether I was a good enough mum and such, I had a short time of being bulimic as well. It was really laced with so much self-judgment and self-criticism. And I was always comparing myself to when I was slimmer, how I want to be in the future. If I wasn't comparing myself to me, I was comparing myself to others and being envious, jealous, couldn't deal with who I was, so I would shovel the food in to help me get through it. It was self-soothing, I suppose. However, even though I was doing all of that, I was also a very good actress, and I was a high achiever because, I always wanted to be good enough, so I was always trying to prove that to myself. So I had a beautiful mask of self-confidence, and no one would know in a million years that I ever struggled. All they saw was a person who would go on eating plans, go on a diet, do the exercise. I always looked okay, it was just, I looked okay to other people, not to me, but yeah, so it was very hidden. And I was full of shame, just so much shame about what I was carrying for all those years. I'm now 68, and it started when I was 5. And I can tell you that when it really stopped, I realized it stopped. It was February 2026. So that was my son's wedding. And I realized I enjoyed the food, I enjoyed the people. I wasn't looking at my body image as mother of the groom. Is it the groom? Yep. Um, there was none of that. It was just love, and it was just beautiful, and it was just joy. And I started your program 19 months ago. This is now July. So it was February that it was fully over and at 100% non-event food issues and body image issues.
I remember it started mostly you were seeing wins in the beginning with food
Yes.
and with like the energy of how compulsive you had felt around it versus how you were before. And that was lessening first. And then the body image stuff tapered off later. Can you share a little bit about how that journey went?
When I first started, I loved the meditations and the activities, and I loved communicating with my body, and it felt really good. But I thought you were crazy, and I didn't think it was going to work because to eat any amount of food, to give up dieting, I knew I was going to be the biggest limp in the world and that I was never going to get off the lounge. I was never going to get myself from looking at the television. And I was going to escape from the world with chocolate and be gone. I might even eat myself to death. I had a full catastrophic reaction to your program, which is great. I love it. I think I'm hilarious. Anyway, I went through all of that resistance, as you can imagine.
Actually, can I just ask you, Grace, before you continue? Why? With all that resistance, why did you continue?
That's a very good question because nothing else worked. It's the only thing I hadn't tried. I had been a yo-yo dieter. I had been to therapies. I had every single alternate therapy that you could imagine to heal the wounds as to why I'm had this food addiction. And this body image shame. I even went to Overeaters Anonymous, and the people sat there in their shame in their 80s. And I said, I can't be that person. I can't be afraid of a piece of chocolate or a piece of cake when I'm 95. So there was nothing else left for me to try. And I believed in you. I believed in your story. I believed in your podcast. Your story resonated with me and it felt like my truth. It was a knowing. It was a deep knowing that it didn't matter what resistance came up, I had to go down this path. There was nothing left. And you were there. Yay. All the time I was in that space, no one could tell. I was still very, very together
You were
externally.
extremely positive, extremely positive. And something I
Mm,
remember actually, you did focus. I mean, I believe you, especially as I'm hearing you now with how much resistance you had. But what you were actually vocalizing was all of your wins. Like every time you
Oh,
had something, like, do you remember any of your first wins that you had? I remember a couple, I think.
I do remember because one of my patterns was I could not eat a piece of chocolate. I had to eat a family block chocolate. And I remember putting two pieces back in the fridge, two pieces of a family block chocolate. Well, that was fireworks for me. That was cause for celebration. How the hell could I put two pieces of chocolate back? You just eat the two pieces. You can't put two pieces back. And I know people who don't have these issues can't relate at all, but oh my God, it was magic for me. That was my first win. I feel that was my first win. And from then on, I remember walking through the supermarket, feeling hungry, and I looked at cakes and things, and I went and got nuts and an apple, and just because that's what I felt like. Yeah. Yeah, just things like that happened. It was very gradual, and I am not the perfect example of healthy eating now. I love my chocolate cake biscuits. I still do, but I have them in amounts that I enjoy. And it's a beautiful feeling to be able to do that instead of just going, oh no, now I'm having a carb, I may as well eat a loaf of bread. Oh, now I'm having a piece of chocolate, I may as well have a family block. I've opened a packet of biscuits, I have to eat the packet. I'd just like to say my husband said to thank you, Katie. He now does not live in fear of his chocolate and his biscuit being gone. And he goes to the fridge or the biscuit barrel and he no longer has to hide them.
Oh my gosh, Dave, that is so funny. Oh,
It is funny, but it's a real thing.
I
30
get
years.
it. I so get it. I so get it.
30 years, he'd say, why don't you just buy your own? And I'd say, because I'll eat them. Yes, but you eat mine. Anyway, our marriage is better for
I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
it. Yes. What was this question? What were we coming back to then?
Well, we kind of I interrupted you. You were talking about the shift from first you were noticing that you were less out of control around food. Those were the earliest wins. Gradually, the body image stuff, which was something that had lingered for you, started to fall away. So that kind of transition.
That was laced with a lot of criticism, a lot of self-criticism. It took a lot of um, self-talk and being kind. Um, I did put on some weight when we started, and I ended up being one size more than I was always striving for. That's what I've regulated as, and two sizes under what I have been in the past when I've been dieting and yo-yo dieting. So my body's regulated at that point. But what is the important thing is not that. What the important thing is that that doesn't matter anymore and that it's a non-event. So I went from this worry and fear, just allowing my body to regulate, to it being a non-event. It happened slowly. At first, I'd be looking at a video of me doing something or a photo of me doing something and think, oh, I really have to go back on that diet. But I wouldn't. And, I don't know how it happened, just through self-talk and not criticizing myself. Eventually, as of February this year, Yeah, non-event, non-event. My body is a non-event. My body is here and I love it, and it walks and it does things. It's the same as food is here and I love it, and it gives me joy and it gives me nourishment. My body is here. It allows me to peg the washing. It allows me to do the things I love. It allows me to eat. Um, it's not about how round my stomach is or how saggy I am, or it's just not. It's just so wonderful for it all to be a non-event, the food and the body image. Yeah, it's freeing, very, very freeing. I'd forgiven myself for all my imperfections. I was always striving for perfection. The only reason I needed this perfect body, perfect personality, perfect everybody thing, the only reason I needed it was because I never thought I was good enough in any way. Um, and that's to do with, stuff. Everyone's got lessons, but I am good enough and I don't have to be anything but me. I am absolutely good enough and I can sag and bag and I can spark or not spark and I can be angry or I can be pleasant. I can be all of them. Oh, that's another massive thing about the body. I was very, very, very afraid of my emotions. So I was fine to be blissful and happy and joyful and loving. That was a side of me that I could enjoy. But when I was angry and sad and depressed and lazy and all of those other things, that's when I'd have to eat through them because, that's not very nice, is it? I would say and I would judge. So I just I allowed the emotions, and the allowing of the emotions allows the body as well. So I don't know, it just doesn't matter anymore. So it's very freeing.
Since you did have that history of emotional eating, I know that, I mean, since I've met you, there have been, yes, there have been ups, but there have also been some big downs and some scary moments that you've gone through. So, how has that looked different compared to how you might have experienced those lows in the past?
Um, okay, so for example, my husband had cancer, and this was when I found you when he was starting the cancer, and I was trying to be good in inverted commas, and I was dieting and exercising, and then I couldn't cope because I was so emotional with what was going on, and I'd binge, and then the next day I'd start on it again. Well, since then and since the program, life still had its ups and downs, and he doesn't have cancer anymore, but he still has some issues, and other things happen in the world. But uh, if I'm struggling and I'm finding that I can't get to the healthy food that my body's craving or something, I'm not saying, oh, well, let's blow that. Let's have a packet of biscuits. I'm going and finding a frozen meal that is nutritious. There are some specific brands that are quite good, and I'm zapping them in the microwave. That's not the best thing, but it's better than a packet of biscuits, and I'm feeling better for it. And if I'm really struggling and I can't get out of bed and go for that walk or do the yoga or the meditation because I'm just really emotional or I'm tired or I'm sick or something's happened, it's okay. So in the past, any event that was a challenge would bring me into all or nothing. I have to look after myself, and I don't care if I'm tired. Get out of bed and go walk your 3 kilometers now. And then do that yoga practice because you know that it's good for you. And then you sit down and cut that fruit. I would be so forceful with myself because I was trying to look after myself. But what I've learnt is that less is best and just go with the flow of how this is happening now. I can't do it all. How can I make my food easier but healthy? How can I make my exercise program fit how I am at the moment? How can I fit in with this thing that's happening with the family or and I'm not as rigid anymore. So that rigidity, all or nothing rigidity has totally gone together with the self-criticism has totally gone for being less than what I used to think I had to be. So it's just so much easier for me to live in my own body and my own mind nowadays.
And that's so much more practical and
Yes.
adaptable.
People that I call normal, that don't have these, in inverted commas, that don't have these sorts of issues, of course, their husband would get sick, they'd change something, wouldn't they? Like something happens, normal people just go around and
Yeah.
just do these things. But with me and this style of personality that I have, yeah, it's a really big deal for me to be flexible and just adapt to allow myself not to be so perfect in every way. Oh, it's
Exactly.
so freeing. So
So
freeing.
I had the same thing as you. And you know what else you said that resonated with me? That even when you were doing the healthy things, which,
Mm.
they were, before it was like doing them with this authoritarian energy, like you need to do this. And it wasn't coming from a place of care and support. It wasn't nurturing. It was like, you have to, like you said, the rigidity. And now whatever I'm choosing, it's coming more from that place of support. So maybe some days it's a little more, some days it's a little less. I'm adaptable now. But I feel like the how I'm doing it and how I'm talking to myself as I'm doing it is like the biggest upgrade, actually.
I agree with you. Absolutely. That is a really good way of putting it. That upgrade of not being the authoritarian and being your best loving friend is so caring and so nice. And I tell you what, and since I've started your program, there were a few people in my life that were authoritarian and like to get me to do things a certain way. And we know this happens as a spiritual being, but as I've changed my inner world, all of my family, all of my friends, all of my people in my world are so gorgeous and loving and supportive and caring. And when I make mistakes and when I'm not at my best, they just pick me up. And, that's a reflection of what I'm giving myself. So it's not just about the food. Yeah, it's so much deeper.
Yeah. The food is a reflection of how we treat ourselves.
Mm, mm, certainly is.
I'm so appreciative of you sharing all this, Grace. It really, it's wisdom because you've lived it. This is not theoretical. This is your lived experience. And this is the opposite of what you thought would happen. You thought you were just going to turn into like part of the couch.
I did, and a very fat one too, and miserable. And I'm absolutely the opposite. Honestly, I sing, I dance, I go into theatre groups and do plays and performances. Um, it's not for everyone. I'm not saying that's what would happen to everyone, but I'm not afraid to shine. Whatever it is I want to do, so what? I sing. If you don't like that, that's okay. Don't listen. So what? I'm going to dance now. It's not a problem. I just laugh more. And I'm not saying that I'm like it all the time because I'm not. But it's okay. When I go into my little shell, I cocoon more. And that's okay too. It's a funny thing, but I really enjoy being me. I really enjoy finding all those bits of me that I was hiding away and running from and escaping with the food. It is fun.
It is fun. It is fun. Do you have
Mm.
any well, first I should ask if there's anything else that's just on your heart that you want to share. But usually the last question I like to ask is for someone who's listening who's still in the phase of struggle where you were for so long. Is there anything on your heart that you'd like to share or any message you'd like to give to that person?
I'm not sure if I've said this fully throughout the talk, but I'm going to say something and then I'm going to give advice after that to someone. So this is what I think's in my heart. I have stopped running from myself. I am gorgeously, hilariously imperfect, and that's okay. I do love the side of me that's joyful and blissful and loving and healthy and enjoying life, but I always loved that part of me. But now I love the angry, the lazy, the round, the sagging, the emotional, the full on, the intense, the complete me. I'm not afraid of myself. I'm not afraid of my emotions. I do not judge myself. I cannot judge myself anymore. I am just me and I ride my waves without the need to escape into my food addiction. And every single day, I'm more free. And I would like to know if people listening would like that freedom. So, this is my message to you. Whatever your age, whatever the stage of food issues you have, whatever the reason you have it, whatever the type of eating disorder you have, even if it's just simply I eat when I'm sad and it's not even more than that, none of that matters. You can evolve from it. You can live a happier, healthier life. I'd like to point out that Katie is a real deal. Her life's work is a gift to all of you who wish to receive it. And I beg you not to wait, just do it for you.
That's beautiful, Grace. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Truly.
You're welcome.
I got teary-eyed. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much for sharing all of this.
Don't know if I got through everything, but I'm sure it'll be what it's meant to be, as you know.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Grace. Well,
It's
thank
lovely
you,
to
Grace. Lovely to see you too, as it always is. Say hi to Dave for me and have fun at wedding number 2.
Yes.
If I don't talk to you before then.
Okay.
All right,
Right. Yeah.
we'll be in touch.
Bye-bye.
Bye.